Hey guys, this is the Apple Guy back with another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy A10e. We're going to be playing just a couple games on here to see how does gaming performance is on this Samsung smartphone. So we are going to play a set of 4 different games, SimCity, Stack, Clash of Clans, and Raid Shadow Legends. There's no sponsors for any of these games, but I just want to show you guys how does gaming performance is on here, and we are also going to play the games one after the other, so they're going to be in no particular order, but we're not going to clear it from the background. So you can tell there's no recent apps open in the background, but we are going to play each of the games one after the other and leave them in the background and see how does the performance take a hit with those apps in the background. And then we're going to close all the apps and play them individually and close them after to see how does the performance compare to having them all in the background. So we are going to first play Raid Shadow Legends. So this game is going to be the one that's a little bit more demanded on the hardware compared to Clash of Clans and Stack and SimCity. So this game is going to have a little bit more assets to render and more images and things like that to render. But as you can see, it does use the network to render a lot of this to download and load it onto the device. And as far as the graphics is concerned, it's not terrible. It's in the middle. It's in between. You can play it and you'll be perfectly satisfied with how it looks. And then there's some times where it's like, it could be better if it was on a more expensive device with a better graphics card built in. But as far as the looks of it, it's not that bad. You'll look at that when we get into the game here. As far as like sound goes, the sound quality is not great throughout any of these games because we'll turn up the sound.
And from here you will summon and train champions to fight the Dark One and his shadow.
As you guys can hear, we have to have the speaker all the way turned up because the speaker is obviously just one speaker on the right hand side. So if you want, it's better to play with either Bluetooth headphones or Bluetooth sound system in the background, like a Bluetooth speaker. But otherwise, we will keep the sound off for this portion of the game. So we will just go through and just play something here. So you can see it does load it pretty nice. There's not really that much frame droppage and things like that. And of course, the nice almost edge-to-edge display, of course, it's perfect for gaming, where you can see a lot more content on the display. You guys might notice it's a little bit brighter in some assets on the screen. That's because the camera is automatically picking up the little bit. It's a little bit darker on my end when I can see it, but on your end it's going to be a little bit brighter, so don't think there's something wrong with the phone. It's just that the camera is automatically adjusting for that. But otherwise, the map looks nice. Everything is smooth. I'm not really noticing any frame droppage or any sort of hang-ups in that regard. Even going through the storyline here, it's loading very fast. The phone is not heating up as I would expect it to, which is very good for a game that will take a lot of processing power and RAM. So it's not heating up as far as I'm holding it. It's actually just room temperature cool. So that's nice. So we will go in here and do this. Let's see, maybe when we get into like a battle, we will obviously be using more processing power. So let's see how this works. Okay. Okay, so you can see there it's still holding on to the perfect frame rate. It's like 60 frames per second, so it's holding on to like a standard frame rate, so it's very nice. As far as like holding it in temperature wise, it's still room temperature. Nothing's wrong in terms of it heating up very quickly, which is very nice to see. But we'll play for a little bit to see what happens. As far as touch accuracy, it's very accurate with the touch accuracy. This is my first time actually playing this game, so it's relatively new to me, so we'll just see how the different attacks work and things like that, just to see if we can get this device to crash or something like that. So we will just continue here. And you see it did lock up a little bit at the last frame there, but that's probably because the game itself is programmed to render the asset like that. Okay, responsiveness is perfect. Okay, a little bit of lag there, but that's probably because it's loading up the next part of the game, so that's not really that bad. Okay, we'll go into here. Okay, characters. So it is it's actually keeping up with the movements of going around and things like that. As far as color accuracy, for a phone of this price range, it's excellent. In my opinion, it is. Compared to like using it on playing this game on an iPhone, I would say it's obviously going to look better on a device like that, or a higher end Android phone, of course, because of the better resolution and display, OLED technology, of course, more graphical cores, more processing cores, things like that, more RAM and whatnot. But as far as on a cheaper end phone like this from Samsung, it's holding its own. It really is with this type of game, especially since all the characters move around and things like that, and there's rain in the background and whatnot, or snow, and different assets rendering in the back here and over here in the corners and whatnot. The fire is actually 60 frames per second. It's not like glitching where it's like shows it pulsating perfectly, so that's nice. As far as characters go, you can zoom in here, you can zoom out, and the resolution is still the same. You can pan around a little bit, but yeah, as far as that goes, it's holding its own, and the phone is still lukewarm, so it's not bad at all. So we will finish up this, and then we'll go to the next game. So here we will finish up. So as far as you guys playing games, especially Raid Shadow Legends, perfect. So we will keep this game loaded in the background in system memory and see how that affects the next game. As we go from game to game to game, we'll see how it affects the system. So this game, they really did a nice job of optimizing it on devices with less power and less display technology than their more premium devices. Okay, so we will go back to the main screen. Okay, have it load. Okay, so we'll go out. So it does take a little bit. That is normal that I have noticed. It does take a few seconds to go to the home screen. So while that game is in the background, we are going to go over and play Clash of Clans. Okay. That does take a little bit to load, so it is starting to affect the system by keeping it in the background. So it is starting to affect it. And as far as temperature-wise, the center of it is starting to heat up just very slightly. It's not uncomfortable whatsoever. It's super slightly. You can tolerate that for sure. So this game I just installed, so of course it's not going to have everything fully upgrade and things like that, guys. But otherwise than that, let's just go around here and start doing some things. Okay, as far as that, let's build a couple things in the background, just see how it works, how everything is. Okay, as far as like having multiple things going on in the background, it's pushing through. It's pushing through nicely. Okay, so we are building multiple things in the background here. As far as like having it zoomed all the way in like that, you can see like the characters are not pixelated. There's no frame droppage even going in. It's still holding 60 frames per second here. Going around, you can actually see how the little characters do stuff like get rid of the bush, or wait, you can actually see the little guy getting rid of the bush here. It's not pixelated or anything like that. Frames awesome, even close up like this. So we will, and even zoomed all the way out like that, it's perfect. No frame droppage. I am not noticing any slowing in the waterfall on the side here. The color accuracy is excellent. As far as the waves going in, it's perfectly framed, nice and smooth how it's supposed to be. The characters are walking around perfectly. They're not like stopping and then like they show up somewhere else or things like that. The smoke is at a consistent level. Everything is pretty consistent. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Everything is consistent on this phone so far. Even with that other game loading in the background, I can still have everything consistent here. And even do upgrades, it's still working perfectly. And as far as going through the little toggles here for building different resources and things like that, it is moving around pretty quickly, which is what you would want even on a device of this price range, which for $179, it's perfect for that. Okay, so we will take a look at what else here. Like even going through, just like sliding across with your finger, it's perfect. Xing out, jumps out pretty quickly. That is beautiful. Okay, so let's actually see what's going on here. Okay, looks like we got some things ready to go. Into attack. Let's actually make it single player. Let's actually go and just do a little attack here. And you can see it loads up perfectly here too with the frame rates of the goblins running into the town hall and whatnot. And we will just tap and just drop a whole bunch. Just drop a whole bunch of barbarians all over the place. And they loaded up pretty well. They didn't like stutter when you drop them in the place, so it's very, very accurate. Again, touch sensitive is still accurate, so it's not like lagging with your touch input. It's actually moving pretty nice, and you can see here as I just shake the screen, it's actually moving pretty good. And you can see the characters as they run around. All their swords and hair and their clothing that they're wearing is perfectly accurate color, no texture drops, anything like that, and whatnot. Even the screen to return home loads perfectly. So, of course, this game does pass, and the temperature of the device is still lukewarm. So it's perfect. So let's go back to the home screen. We'll take a second there to drop it in. Okay. We'll go over to stack. This game is going to be less intensive on the system. Load time is a little bit slower, but that's because this game loads up fresh from the background. Not from the background, loaded up fresh for the first time because it was just installed. Okay. We are just going to go through here. Oh, okay, so it did lag on the third tile. And it does lag. Okay, so it is lagging in the background due to the other two apps open in the background. So that is starting to, you can actually see the lag happen. So it is actually lagging in the background. This game, I can compare it to the iPhone because I do play this on the iPhone XS Max, and it's more responsive on there than it is on here. Okay, so it is starting to show that the system resources are being taken to full effect by apps in the background, especially games. Okay. But as far as like playability, it's still doing 60 frames. It's still not heating up as much as I thought it would be on a phone of this price, because I thought for a phone of this price range that the system would heat up immensely, but it's actually still just warm temperature, just your standard average temperature. Even as far as like a little advertisement here, it's still doing well or whatnot. And okay, so this advertisement's still here. Wait for that to load. Okay. So that is going to slow down in this game because there's advertisements, of course. So that's another thing you have to take in effect here, because there is an advertisement at the bottom of the display that is loading. Okay, so the responsiveness as the game is going on, it is picking up quite quickly here. Okay, so it is loading up pretty decently. I would say this is awesome for this phone. So as far as gaming goes, with 2 apps in the background, especially 2 games, I should say, in the background, it's doing perfect, doing awesome. So we will go to the home screen, and this obviously takes a little bit of a few seconds here to close out. Okay. Then we'll go play SimCity. So with the 3 apps loading in the background, we'll be on the last app and see how that takes effect here. You can see it's already starting to take a little bit of effect of system resources because it's taken longer than normal to load. And then we'll do a round 2, but after every game we will close it to see the difference in performance. Okay, so it's finishing loading up. And here as well, frame rate is still the same. The characters are still the same. Even zooming all the way almost in as much as it lets you to, it is the same. Okay. Okay, we'll just drop that over here, build that. Even going down into it, zooming in, okay, still perfect. Touch accuracy, of course, is still the same. I do notice the phone is starting to now heat up just slightly, but that's not bad, of course. Okay, drag and drop in application is still, okay, still perfect. Okay. So it does really prove that you don't need to have the most expensive phone to play decently good games on it, or even high-end games, as long as it just has enough amount of RAM, battery, and CPU. But of course, on these lower-end devices, they will have the fastest chips available to them in their price range, so it's not terrible as it would be 5 or 6 years ago. Okay, so you can see the rendering of night and day. Okay, even a notification came in the background and it didn't stop the device whatsoever. Okay, we will do, we'll go here. Do that, okay, X out. And even the characters that come in on the side, they're loading up perfectly. So this game is obviously not that intensive on the system. Okay, everything is still loading up perfectly. Okay, so now we will go back home. Okay. And here are all the applications in the background. Now, before we go on and clear them all out, let's see where they left off actually in RAM. So we'll go back to Raid Shadow Legends and see if it has to reload. And yes, the system did a system dump on the RAM, so it cleared it out for the other game to load. So we'll see if Clash of Clans picks up from where we left off, and we'll see if Stack picks up and not Clash of Clans, but SimCity, if it picks up. So Raid Shadow Legends, it did a system dump and has to reload. Okay, so as far as loading up where you left off in the background, you would have to let the game load up from the beginning and start off from where you're at. Okay, as far as that goes, okay, it's still performing how it did in the first round. Okay. As you can see here, it's still performing perfectly, beautifully. Okay, touch accuracy is still the same. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Okay, let's go to the next game. Okay, let's go back into the system. Okay, so Raid Shadow Legends from the background is... Oh, wait. It's loading good. Okay, let's see if Clash of Clans loads up from where we left off. And that game does clear out. Okay, so as far as loading games up from the background, guys, you will have to expect the game to reload from the beginning. Okay, as far as that goes, it's still loading up perfectly, so we'll go over to the next game. Go to Task Manager. Okay, let's go into Stack. And that game also has to reload in the background. And you can see the system is starting to hang up due to it reloading apps in the background. Reloading them from the background memory. And yeah, you can see it's starting to stutter. Okay, so this does not handle well with multitasking from app to app, and frame rate is... Oh, look at that, it crashed. Yep, it crashed. Okay, so as far as that game goes, yeah. Okay, so you guys want to play the game and then close it when you're done, so you don't go through this system hang up right here. Look at that, it's... Okay, now the phone is hung up, and... Ooh. And it's not even overheating. So that's a good thing. It's not overheating, but it does hang up. It's hung up. The system is hung up. I can't do anything. Oh. And then it goes... Okay. Okay, that's strange. Went back into the game. Okay. Okay, now it's... Okay, touch responsive is not there. No. No. Go back. Okay, so it does fail on the trying to reload the app from system memory as it's starting to crash now, and it is starting to have little issues here. See, so we're going to have to close them all and start again. But as far as... We are going to stop here with this. So as far as playing games individually, it will work. But as far as playing them and then going back into the app switcher and reloading them from the background, you will have crashing, will have frame drop, will have system hang-ups, in responsiveness, or like even the UI is still acting up after I closed them. So you will have a lot of system issues. So as far as gaming on here, you can do it, as you guys saw earlier, but as far as loading up multiple apps and then hoping to come back and play them from the background, it will reload, but then if you go from one game to another, it will cause system crashes and things like that. So, of course, guys, as always, you can find my first video on here, the unboxing of the device and my first look, and there are other videos of other smartphones and other products on my channel, so check those out. Give this video a like, leave a comment of what you thought of the performance-wise, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. Like, subscribe, and until the next one, guys.